Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Harry's Music Room. We are on part 4 of our deep dive into the music of Chicago. Originally, I was just going to do the studio albums because Chicago 4 was basically just live material from those 3 albums. But I thought there was enough information on it that I could do a dive on it, not necessarily have to get into the music end of it. So, what we're talking about today is Chicago live at Carnegie Hall. These are my reel-to-reel tapes. And you can see the label. And I really like getting, double albums and box sets on reel-to-reel when I can because it's so convenient to just put it on and let it run. So, little history. Released in October of 1971. The first 3 albums had been 2 record sets. The second and the third included posters. This time they outdid themselves. They did a 4-album set, and it had, so we've got a box, literally a box, slipcase, using the by now the iconic logo, which was created based on the Coca-Cola logo. Now, in that box, we've got, of course, 2 posters. One of them is a poster of Carnegie Hall. One of them is a poster of the band. And then we have a massive, gigantic poster. I'm not even going to try to open it. This thing is huge. And I had it hanging on my the ceiling, actually, in my bedroom when I was 17. And then it also, because as I've pointed out in some of the past episodes on Chicago, they're pretty political, or they can be. So this also included information where people could register to vote. In 1971, you had to be 21 years old to vote, which it was kind of weird. You were able to go carry a gun, fight for your country, and die for your country in Vietnam at 18, but you couldn't vote. So there was a big push to get the vote for the 18-year-olds, and Chicago was really hard behind that. So what they did is they included a list of every state and the what they call it, the return of the power of the vote. So they were really pushing to get kids out there, 18-year-olds or 17. You could register if you were going to be 18 by the time the election came. And I know I voted. I turned 18 in 72, and that was a huge thing for the 18-year-olds. And then next, after 3 posters, there's still more. Basically what you could call a type of a program, like a tour program you get if you went to a live show. And this has all kinds of pictures. I think it's 18 pages in all. Very nice book, very nicely done, with all the dates of the 1971 tour. They were on the road nonstop 71. They did an entire week at Carnegie Hall, and within 6 months, the box set had been released. But just look at all the dates that they did in 1971. It is amazing. So, wow. No, some of these go back to 71. I'm sorry, this is 71 right here. These are all dates in 71. Now, these are all dates going back to 1967. But even there, that's a lot of shows in 1 year. Okay, so each album of the 4 records came in its own jacket with a custom label. So you've got your 4 record set. This is not an expensive set today. If you see one in the used record store, typically they're fairly inexpensive. Now, when this came out, it was I think it was $17.99, which in today's dollars that is almost $130. So that it was an expensive box set from 1971, and it came out in October. And in November, I turned 18, and I remember my mom bought me the box set for my birthday. So that's how I ended up with it, because I could have never afforded it on my own. Of the first 10 albums, this is the only one that did not get a quad release. It was considered, but they decided not to do it. So for many years, for 15 years, it was the best-selling box set by a rock artist, and until Springsteen released Live 75 to 85, which took the #1 spot. Jimmy Pankow and Peter Cetera, they are not fans of this record. They didn't like the acoustics at Carnegie Hall for amplified music. And they thought especially the horns did not sound good amplified there. And Lee Loughnane says that if it was up to him, they would have never released this album. So they're not fans of the record. And of course, you get political. There's one song on here called "A Song for Richard and His Friends," which is about Nixon, which I didn't really like, not because it was political, but I didn't like it because it seemed to break up the flow of the evening of the music, and it sounded out of place to me. So, and then in 2021, Rhino released a 16 CD box set of every performance that they did at Carnegie Hall on that week run, which was I think they did 6 evening shows and they did 2 matinees. So they did 8 shows in all. And the Rhino box set had all the shows. And then in 2022, for Record Store Day, Rhino released another Live at Carnegie Hall. And this is the complete show from April 9th, 1971. Again, it comes in a slipcase cover. It's got an insert, or this actually was on the back of the record underneath the shrink wrap, but I always save all this kind of stuff. And then it had 3 records. This was a limited to 3,000, I believe, worldwide pressings. And then, of course, since it's a Chicago album, they had to include a poster into it. So that's pretty much my deep dive into the Chicago 4 or Live at Carnegie Hall. I added up all the different songs that they did at the time of these shows, they had released 3 albums. They did 7 of the 12 songs on their first album. They did 14 of the 23 songs on their second album. And they did 7 of the 23 songs on the third album. So the first 2 records were very well represented. Not so much the third one, but it wasn't bad. 7 out of 23. But it's a fine set. If you see it used, like I said, you can probably get it anymore. It used to be a $5 to $10 record. It's probably a $10 to $20 record now. But it's well worth picking up. So obviously the next episode will be Chicago 5. And until then, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Feel free to leave a comment. I like to hear what you people think of these videos. And until next time, ciao.